Well, we're down here 10th Street. It is definitely a front moving in because it's drizzling. It's gonna rain this afternoon. It's cloudy, overcast, the tide's going out, and I don't have a whole lot of faith. I don't have a whole lot of faith, but we're gonna give it a whirl and see. We got the fire pit going, and we got the rods out with some shrimp and some fish bites. And it's frozen shrimp because that's all I got. But there is some bait still jumping out there, which is amazing. Definitely out of reach for me, but if you're in a boat, you probably could get some. Tempted to throw some lures. I wish I had some. Oh, I think I got a bite. Let's go see what we got. We're going fishing, but first we got to go to the mountains because you know what we need? It's December. We need to get ourselves a Christmas tree. What we're doing?
We're at the Christmas tree farm here in Boone, North Carolina. State's known for the Christmas trees, second in the country next to Vermont. But the parking here is insane. I mean, it's Saturday after Thanksgiving and they're acting like it's Christmas Day.
We were in the car for a long time just to park, but we're gonna get a tree and it's gonna be great.
So I've never gotten a live tree before. This is really the first time. So we went to Boone, North Carolina. Here's how it works. You step up to the registration. They give you a tag. They give you a red ribbon so you can tie it around your tree. When you find the one you want, you take one of these poles. The little black marks measure how tall it is. So 6 foot, 7 foot, 8 foot, 9 foot. And depending on how tall it is how much they charge you. So we had our pole in hand and we decided, well, we've got to go up the mountain. And going up the mountain was tough, but luckily we had our fearless dog Bailey to lead the way and find the tree by sniffing every one of them. And we did search for some trees, and we found this really cool one, which looked like it had mushrooms growing on it, but it didn't. It was just the way the pine cones were broken. Then we had to wave the stick, and that would call the guy over. He would see you waving, and he'd come over with a chainsaw, so I didn't actually have to chop it down, and we didn't have to dig it out of the dirt like Clark Griswold on a family Christmas vacation. He just chopped it down, and Grayson and Cameron decided they would just buy a pre-cut one. It was a little shorter than ours and a little cheaper. They once you have it selected, you pay for it, and they take it, they bundle it, and then they even tie it up to the top of your car if you want. I just threw mine in the back of the truck. So this was my first excursion. I mean, we've gotten trees before. Obviously, we've gone to the Food Lion, usually and buy them. But this is the freshest tree you can get. And it wasn't a bad looking tree. It actually just about touched the ceiling of my house, so I guess it made it like an 8 foot. I don't know how tall my ceilings are, 8 foot, 9 foot. Anyway, let's go fishing. We are down at 10th Street on the west side. I've got my bucket, and we are just going to head down there. I'm not too optimistic because there's a cold front moving in, the tide is moving out, and it's not a full moon or anything fancy like that. So it is, I mentioned, a cold front moving in. It's probably going to rain later on the afternoon. So we brought the fire pit. It's this little portable fire pit that I think Grayson got Kim as a present, and we poured the little wood pellets in it and light them on fire. I had a little trouble lighting the pellets on fire. Probably should have put a little fire starter down there. So I found some like leaves and sticks on the beach, and that lit on fire real quick. So we got that going. Swirly whirly into the sand. You don't have to bring a hammer. You can just do that little swirly whirly trick right there, and it will get your rod holder into the sand. Grab my 1/0 hooks. I got 2 of them here. I'm going to use a double drop rig, a store-bought rig. Look, I'm just putting it on the little clip just like that. I had a homemade rig that had little floats on it that was working so well, and I broke it. So I'm just going to put some fish bites on here, and I'm going to put a little piece of shrimp. I just slide it through just a little piece. You don't need a big piece. The fish are just going to peck it off anyway. So I got 2 of those hooks on there, about a 4-ounce weight, and then... Of course, I was trying to put on the second double drop rig, and I tangled it all up with the first one. So here I am trying to detangle my lines, which is actually really embarrassing. This probably took him like 15 minutes. I don't know how I got them so tangled up so quick. But so if you want to see me make a fool out of myself with some store-bought double drop rigs, not even my homemade rigs, There you go. And anyway, while I was wrestling with that, there was a fish on the line. Luckily, Mrs. Sands in the Surf was there and grabbed the rod and started reeling it in. And in hopes that there'd be a big fish on it. We'd have some fish tacos, and Bailey's going to help too, get the fish in. And then she pulled it up, and it was nothing to write home about. It was just a little croaker, and I was like, this is about how my day is going to go. This is how it starts off. This is probably how it's going to keep going. But I had hope, and I was casting out pretty far. Because you could see the tide was going out, as I mentioned, so the bar was kind of out far, and I was like, well, let me just try to make it past the bar. This is probably pretty shallow right here, because Oak Island's pretty flat. That's like the third croaker, 4-inch croaker. I'm throwing back, because I guess I could eat them. Now, if I was smart, if I were smart and had the ability to do so, I probably would have moved. Because once you get into a bunch of croaker, you end up staying with a bunch of croaker. They just seem to be schooled up, and I don't know, they scare everything else away, or maybe nothing else is there while they're there. But I couldn't move because we had the fire pit going, and I couldn't just pick up a fire pit and walk down the beach. So I kept getting my croaker. But like I said, I was casting out far, and I doubled up 2 croaker for 1. Okay, now I decided, you know what I'm going to do? Let me not cast out so far. Let me just see if I just cast really closely, if there's some fish maybe in a little pocket in here. And I was right. I actually caught something other than croaker once I did that. So that's how I got to move. Instead of casting out far, I cast in really close. And the first fish I got was a spot, but he was kind of off a little spot. Now, you know what I always say, if you get a couple of spot, you can keep them. And then I got another hit right after that. And this one was giving me, a little tug. And I'm like, okay, this feels a little different. Definitely not a croaker. And when I pulled it in, I was excited that it was a black drum, but I was a little disappointed because it was kind of short. Little black drum. About 12 inches short. Little black drum. Second one. I think it would be about that big. So, needless to say, did not have a very successful fishing day. But you know what? A good time. Bailey had a good time because Mrs. Sands in the Surf threw the ball for her about 100 times. So she got to run and chase the ball and just had a really good time. Got tired out. So, next adventure, I said to Kim, here's something I'm thinking about doing. I'm thinking about maybe selling everything I own when I retire and buying a boat, like a trawler, like a nice size boat, and just going up and down the ICW from here to Florida back, and just the trawler life. And then we met up with our friend Steve Adams, and he was like, yeah, I know this guy, Mr. Creech, down in Southport, who's selling his trawler. And I'm like, you're kidding me, let's go. So he had a Jefferson Sea Life. Here's the sign right there if you want to get the number. What do we got there? 855. I couldn't read it. I'll have to put the number below. So if you want to check out this boat and buy it, I think it's going for $85,000. We got in the back to start with, up in the top of the back, and this is probably where we'd hang out the most here, just back in the deck. They had those chairs are really sturdy. They're really heavy, so if the boat's underway, they're not going anywhere. And then we got to go up into the pilot house. And let me tell you, right here, besides the fact that Santa was in my seat, I was really excited. I'm like, I could drive this boat. I could just push that forward or push it back, and we get back out of here, and we are on our way. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I want to do. I want to be up here going up and down the ICW. Now I got a couple years till I retire, right? But I can taste it. We went down into the salon, and he had really nice seats down there. He had a little couch, which is something I was looking forward to. A nice big salon. He said, hey, you could live aboard this boat, right? Look at that couch. That's like my living room, a little smaller. Down into the bedroom. The bedroom was a little smaller. I think this is probably a a twin or something? Not a queen, but I'd like to get one I could fit a queen on. I'm a big guy. I don't want to have a little boat, but like I said, the salon was really nice. The kitchen, I didn't get the pictures of the kitchen, the galley, but it was pretty. It was okay. I think Kim would have liked it a little bit bigger with a little more counter space. But you can drive from the inside. You can drive from up on top. You could sit down in the kitchen area. So Steve and Mr. Creech got to sit down, and they were talking. Mr. Creech was a great guy. I was so happy he let us on, and he just was telling us all this information. He had all the the logs of all the maintenance he put onto the boat, and like he had both a maintenance log and a travel log. They had done their loop. They had done their loop, which is, I guess, you go up the Mississippi and you come across the other side there, the Great Lakes, and then come down the East Coast through the ICW down to Florida, back up around the Gulf. They had done that. It's pretty impressive. And I was just really super stoked about this boat. So if you're looking to get me a Christmas present, there she is. You just run down to Southport and ask Mr. Creech if you can have it. After that, I was pretty hungry, so we decided we're in Southport. Let's get some food. So we decided to go to, and there's a couple of places you can go down there, right? Fishy Fishy. This is Edgewater 122. I guess that's how you'd say it. Edgewater 122 or 122. Edgewater. It's kind of next to Provisions on that side over there. I like Fishy Fishy, but Fishy Fishy is a really casual atmosphere. Not that this wasn't casual. I mean, they did have the outdoor seating, but it's just a little bit of a step up from that. Like if I was going to take a date to Southport and we were going to go out to one of the restaurants there, I'd probably go with Edgewater. It's just a little bit higher, not as casual. You might want to wear pants instead of just going naked, like you would in Fishy Fishy. I was like, had my heart set on, what am I going to eat? How about those fish tacos? Where? Point again. Where are they? I think they're right here. So I knew what I was going to get. And then when the waiter came, took our order, right? So they're very knowledgeable. They got some draft beers on. They had a soup. This was actually really good. Kim and I shared that. And here you go. You want a bite? Here, check this soup out. Yum, yum, yum. Steve just got the wings. I don't think he was excited about the wings. I think he just wanted barbecue flavor, and he got like some hibachi flavor or whatever it is. Kim got shrimp and grits, which I can't eat shrimp and grits because you've seen the other video. Kim makes such good shrimp and grits that I can't order them in a restaurant. Hers are just going to be better no matter what, especially if we get the shrimp from Varnamtown. But I got the fish tacos, and you can see I was diving right in. So check it out, Edgewater 122 or whatever. Let's go fishing one more time. Now this time I got down to 10th Street again. And I got the same thing, my double drop rig right here, but this time I was like, I'm going to put everything on here I can possibly pull out. I'm going to put the fish bites on there. I'm going to put the shrimp. I'm going to put a little bit of extra smelly stuff. What is Procure. It was just there, and I was just looking at it 2 seconds ago. So I put some of the smelly Procure onto the fish bites with the shrimp, and I casted it out. Now, the tide is coming up, so I like when the tide's coming up and the moon's full. And I like when the moon's full and the sun's going down. I had about an hour. This was after school. I had about an hour to fish here. And I'm telling you, like right away, I had a nice hit and I pulled it up and I was like, a black drum. Okay, that's fine. I'll start with a black drum. If I'm not starting with a croaker, that's fine. And this is a little black drum, sort of like the other little black drum I caught. Not huge, but a black drum. And where there's one black drum, there could be more black drums. So I'm stoked. All right, let's keep it going. Still with the double dropper rig, still with the 1/0 hook, still with the 4-ounce weight, and boom, getting another hit. And these were coming pretty quickly. I wasn't having to wait. Sometimes in the winter you got to wait around for the bite. This was nothing to wait around for, and I pulled in one of my favorite fish to eat. A puffer, a decent sized puffer too. And you know what? They're going to be puffer after puffer in this video. If you would like to watch me catch some puffer, just watch the next 2 minutes because I'm going to show you a lot of puffer. Here's one right here, and that was not a bad size puffer. And I got to show you. I got to hold up the measure stick. I got to bring this guy over and show you how big these puffer. And sometimes you get puffer and they're like 4 inches, 5 inches, or whatever. These guys were like touching on like 9 inches. Like I'm like, these are citation. Can you get a citation for puffer? No. You can't, but you should. You should be able to get a citation for puffer. How come you can get one for a whiting and not a puffer? Explain this to me. Look, the sun's going down already. I'm running out of time. I was starting to reel that one in, and as soon as I realized I didn't have a fish, I saw the other rod bend, so I run over there and I grab that one. Well, I didn't really run because they're puffer, right? You don't have to run too. They're not really getting off the hook once they get on. But I'm like excited to bring them in because I'm going to put them in my cooler and I'm going to take them home and make some fish tacos. Even though I just had fish tacos, you can never have enough fish tacos. So here you go, another puffer, and let's get the measure stick. I got to show you this guy. Come on, come with me, puffer. Here he is, nice big old puffer. Here's the measure stick. Look at this. So that's 12 inches folded like that, right? So that's pretty decent. What is that? Is that hitting 9 inches with the tail to the fork? What is that? I don't know what that is, how you measure a puffer correctly. But I put a couple of them in the bucket. I can tell you right now, probably about 5 or 6, which, you know, for me, 5 or 6 puffers for Kim and I, that's a good amount of fish tacos. If you've ever seen any of the videos I've posted, they're pretty easy to clean. They're delicious to eat, and they don't have a lot of bones. They just have like a big piece of cartilage in there, right? So if you've eaten them, you know you've eaten them. You love them. I used to throw them back. I know so many people who tell me that. He goes, I used to throw them back. The next thing I got was a whiting. I got a nice whiting too. Look, this thing's, he's not going to be 12 inches. Going to be pretty close, about 11 inches. And I'm like, yeah, I'll take my 11-inch whiting and I'll throw them in there with my puffer, my 4 or 5 puffer. They're slippery as all get out. I just drop watch. Hold on. What? You ever try to hold whiting? It's the slipperiest fish. I don't know why. The puffer aren't slippery. They feel like sandpaper. You just hold on to those. You just grab them, and they're not hard to hold on to at all. But those whiting, I'll tell you what, they're a trip. So I fry them up, put them in the frying pan. Can bread them, just bread them in the fry. You don't have to bread them. I guess you can just kind of broil them in some butter, garlic maybe. I don't know. Put a little blackening season on them, or maybe some Old Bay. Look at this guy was a little small. I had to let 1 or 2 go. This guy was about 4 or 5 inches. So that's the difference between a little guy, he's just gonna go float away, and the big guy. And then you can see the sun there is going down. So this was all in about an hour's time, maybe an hour and a half, between when I got there and when I left. And I was just, every time I set the rod out, I was getting another one. So get out there when the sun's setting, when you got a full moon, when the tide's coming up on 10th Street. I don't know if that matters or not. I was in a pocket. I was just in a pocket. Here's another whiting, one more whiting, and I would have stayed and maybe caught a couple more puffer, but as that sun was going down, I just had to get one last puffer in. It's a sunset puffer, my friends. So get out there and have some fun, and let's go fishing before February comes and it's all over. All right.